building Nomadness in the beginning was answering a call that I needed as a traveler. And I think that that's one of the cool things about Nomadness is that I trust myself more. I trust myself with the decisions that we make, with the risks that we take, because I am one of my members just as much as I am the leader and the creator of it. And I think that that's important. It's really important.
You're listening to the Almost 30 podcast, a lifestyle podcast hosted by Krista Williams and Lindsay Simsick.
Tune in for a new episode every Tuesday to hear our honest conversations about topics like wellness, entrepreneurship, spirituality, and self-development with guests who are really smart, really inspirational,
and really fucking funny. It's real, it's raw, and it's unfiltered.
Inspired by our transition from our 20s to our 30s, we realized it's so much more than that. Our mission is to provide you with the tools, guidance, and motivation to help you navigate any transitions in your life and propel your personal growth.
Thanks so much for tuning into the Almost 30 podcast.
Here we go. Should we talk about why we love John Krasinski so much?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's talk about celebrity.
For real. Actually, we've never done an episode like that. It's about time.
Let's just laugh. I have chocolate on my teeth.
Everyone's going to kill us. Hey, everyone.
Hey, guys.
We wanted to talk about our celebrity crushes.
Hey, guys. We want to talk about our celebrity crushes. I know you guys have been wondering who my celebrity crush is. Actually, you'll be like, yeah, that's her fucking celebrity crush. Duh.
So predictable. No, we were in the car the other day. We were just like, why the fuck is John Krasinski just like
Fine
the
as
ultimate?
hell.
The ultimate.
Yep.
It's because.
Yep. You know who I actually used to kind of feel? Guys, this is fucked up. You're gonna burn me at the fucking stakes.
Oh, I got some that are just disturbing. Go ahead.
I kind of felt Kevin Spacey for him.
Oh!
Yo, I did.
Literally, I did that and like literally the microphone cut off because
God got mad.
I was like, oh, I'm sorry. When and why?
Yo,
Like what did you see him in and what turned you on?
this is like real, you guys. This is like fucked up. You guys are gonna like the movie with the bag.
Huh?
The bag floating. The roses in the bag. What movie is that, you guys?
I don't know.
And the pervert. He was like the dad. And he's crushing on the girl. He's a mega perv.
Which is, I guess, what is accurate.
Yeah. So I was like feeling the perv.
You were feeling his truth.
I was like, perv dad. Let me figure out what movie it is. You guys are probably wanting to
was he losing his hair?
American Beauty.
Oh, American Beauty.
Kind of fine. Kind of creepy. Anyway. Okay, what's one of your weird celebrity crushes? Okay, you guys, that was like 2 seconds.
AJ McLean. I wanted to marry him hard.
I wanted to marry Justin Timberlake. Like, I've never felt like that
That's
before.
it. I still do.
I know.
AJ McLean is...
I forget which one is he. Is he the one with the crazy... No, that's Chris.
He's the one with the... He's like a drug addict.
Is he now?
Typical me. Used to be. Went to rehab. But he had like the chin strap. He was like the bad boy. He had black nails.
He had black nails?
He actually still does.
No way.
He's still being him.
Dude, black nails back in the day. That is like... You're like, oh my God, the goth. What a goth.
It's like Blink-182.
Oh, I was into Blink-182.
Loved Blink-182.
Oh, and this is another one that no one was feeling. Elon Musk.
Oh my, this was recent for you.
No one was feeling that. Actually, and then I saw
I need to put Elon Musk and Kevin Spacey next to each other and see what the parallels are.
Steve Carell.
Okay, I don't know you anymore. I love
He's
Steve
a good
Carell,
one. Okay,
though.
those are my joke ones, but here's my real ones. John Krasinski.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Fine as hell.
Dude.
But you know my number one? Ryan Gosling. Number one.
For me, yes, I love Ryan Gosling. For me, the who's above him? Blake Lively's.
Ryan Reynolds.
Ryan Reynolds is above.
I like him. He's a little like it's a little too much. Sometimes I'm like, okay, you're funny. I get it.
That's like in his movies because the script makes him do that.
Oh, sure. like Deadpool
is
I'm
too
like,
much because the script,
too much.
y'all.
I can't. I'm
What
like,
do you think he made that up?
Yeah, but in that movie, I'm just like, But he is fine.
Fine as hell.
He's fine. And he's tall.
Yeah, all of these have in common that they are tall, but they're funny.
Mm-hmm.
They don't take themselves too seriously. Yep. They have great smiles. They do good in the world. They're grounded. They care.
We're their types too.
Yeah, literally. Blake Lively.
It aligns, Jessica. What's the one?
Jessica Biel, man.
Biel. Body goals.
Everything goals.
Really?
I think she's stunning.
Yeah. Her face is probably the most symmetrical face I've seen in a long time.
You're the only one that knows that.
Yeah, because I'm deformed.
No, you're not.
Symmetrical face.
I never notice it about people.
It's crazy. Like she smiles and I'm like,
huh?
Nose is like on fleeky. Mouth is on fleeky.
Yeah, the mouth.
So
I'm sure that's the first thing that JT
your
knows.
Celebrity crushes. Join our secret Facebook group and share who your celebrity crush is. And it's a secret, so no one will tell. But for real, though.
It was important to share.
That was important.
I think it says a lot about you that you crushed on Kevin Spacey.
And you didn't share anyone's.
Okay, so AJ McLean.
You need to share like a weird one.
I wish I could show you pictures of the people that I liked throughout my life. Actual people. Not.
We've all had phases.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'll get back to you on that.
Cool.
Because I honestly think I was obsessed with AJ for a very long time. I didn't let anyone else in. I was kind of honing in, thinking that I could marry him.
Isn't that really weird? Because honestly, in your head, you do think it.
Oh, I think it. Of course I did.
It was so weird. Like, that's such a weird thing.
Thought I was going to marry him or Jonathan Taylor Thomas.
JTT.
That was a good one.
Yeah. Andrew Keegan, JTT.
Oh, Andrew Keegan.
I used to put them on my wall. Did I tell you? I put them on my wall of my closet door. I like cut out their pictures from J Fox or J Teen magazine or whatever the teen magazines were. And there'd be their little faces. And I would think that they could see me. So I'd be in my room and I'd like act like they could see me and hear me. And I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm like going to this party tonight. It's going to be crazy.
And they're like, where, girl? Where are you going?
Yeah, literally. And they'd be like watching and be like, wow, she's cool. She's going to party.
Oh my God. We're so weird when we were little,
That's crazy.
It's so weird.
Yo. But it's my favorite when I see like little girls walking around and they're like talking to themselves and like,
I know. So us.
Today I saw this little girl. I think her caregiver or something was like leaving and walking away and got in the car and left, and the dad was like chasing after the little girl. The little girl was screaming her head off, and I was kind of wondering if that was going to be a trauma for her. She was screaming for 6 minutes.
Wow.
Because the caretaker was leaving. It was so sad.
Oh.
She was so cute.
Oh my God.
I was wondering, I'm like, is this a trauma in the making? Am I witnessing one of your traumas in life?
Probably.
Isn't that weird?
That's intense.
Yeah. I'm like, well, are you going to forget this one or are you going to remember?
When I was like just under a year, my mom, by mistake, let me roll off of the off of the dryer when she was changing me. Wonder if that's one of my traumas.
Do you remember that?
No. I was like just about under a year, and I fell on the ground, obviously, and I turned purple. She like rushed me. Can you imagine as a mother?
Yo.
Can you imagine your child drops to the floor off of the dryer? And she like literally just lifted her, because I was very like, and like she lifted her hand to go grab a diaper or something, and I rolled off purple.
Why were you purple?
Screaming because I was screaming bloody murder just because I fell. But like I probably turned purple because I was screaming. But like you think it's bruises as a parent, I'm sure. But I'm actually like it makes me a little anxious when I think about, oh wow, like my kids are gonna get hurt.
I know.
And we're going to like go to the hospital at some point.
I know. Probably
for like stitches or something silly, but like
broken arm or.
Oh my God.
Yo.
That makes me crazy. What are we going to do? I'm going to call you.
Yeah,
like, get over here.
Don't call 911.
Yeah. What do I do? Yeah. via traumas, man. I know. Okay. Anywho, all right. Well, here we are, almost 30. Krista and Lindsay, glad you're here. If you're new to the podcast, we usually just jump right in, as you just saw. Talk about really meaningful things.
We're so glad you're here.
So deep.
We're a podcast that talks about life transitions. Health, wellness, spirituality, entrepreneurship, career is kind of the same, but we run the gamut of topics. We started talking about our transition from our 20s to our 30s when we felt like that we were going through so much. We wanted to feel like we weren't alone. So we started the podcast, which has turned into a community all over the world. We have events all over the world. We speak all over the world. So happy you're here. It means so much. You've come here for a reason.
That was a few different accents, and that was very impressive.
Come here for a reason. There you go. I wanted it to be Australian.
Reason.
Razor blades.
All you gotta say is razor blades.
Yeah, that's how I get into Australian. Razor blades.
And today, we always bring on guests that, we've admired from afar and who have inspired us and who inspire you all as a community. We always are listening to what you all have suggested. And we are huge fans of Evita Robinson.
She's the realist.
She's the realist.
She's so cool.
The best. So Evita founded NOMADNESS Travel Tribe. It's an online social community primarily for travelers of color. And it was the first of its kind, targeting diverse millennials in the newly coined Black travel movement. And they have 16,000 international members with over 100,000 passport stamps and nearly 100 meetups a year all across the globe. She is just to have this idea and to even begin something that feels, it's on a global level. I just it's hard for me to wrap my head around, but when you create a community, as we found, it tends to just happen because everyone believes in it and wants to be a part of it and participate and do something impactful. So blown away.
Thanks to Mackenzie Green. So Mackenzie is one of the people in our community who suggested Evita. We love you. We appreciate all of the recommendations from all of you. So this was such a great rec. And what I loved about Evita was her vision and her ability to bring travel to the Black community where it may not be as popular as it was before. And it's even more important now in the political climate to be traveling, to connect with one another, to really see one another, to have those moments where you actually are one part of humanity. I've always been an adamant traveler, obsessed with travel. And the reason why I love it is because it keeps you modest, it keeps you grounded, and it keeps you connected to what's really real. You're able to see people in a different light. And without travel, I wouldn't have the ability to be as compassionate as I am. So I love that she is all about that. And I love that she really took some of the little nuggets from the universe, some of the little things, and ran with it and created this amazing business that benefits herself, but also benefits so many other people in the world.
Yeah, she's amazing. She is seen around the world. She's a keynote speaker. She has a TED Talk that you guys should
TED Talk's awesome.
Definitely check out. She's a consultant for destination marketing organizations, which is so amazing and important. And she's actually writing her first book. So stay tuned for that.
Girl.
We know that you guys will love this conversation with Evita Robinson. Please join our secret Facebook group. Give us, feedback. Let's start the conversation about travel. It's one thing to see the world, but to create community on top of that, is something that we hold really close to our hearts. So we love you guys. Thanks for subscribing, rating, and reviewing on iTunes. It means so much to us. It helps us to bring on more people like Evita and to just reach more people. So thank you. Ready?
Yeah. See you on the flip and enjoy.
This episode is brought to you by Brass Clothing. I know you caught me 5 days in a row.
I know. Well, I wore, when we were in Seattle for our tour too, I was able to wear the romper set, which is bomb.
So it was nice.
it just made me, it was like something that I felt really good in and was comfortable. And so now I wear it all the time.
Yeah, brass clothing is amazing. So this basically solves all of my problems. I know myself for purchasing kind of on impulse and like sale items or emotional shopping, or feeling like, oh, I need to buy this because it's on trend. And then literally a month later, no one's wearing it. It doesn't even matter. And these pieces are timeless. They are comfortable. They are well made, and they're fashionable. Like, will always be. And it's kind of my style anyway. It speaks to me, and I'm like loving the staples in my closet. I'm loving. So actually, right now, I love this this raglan sweater. It has like these kind of sheer sleeves, and it's black. Obviously,
that's very you. Yeah. I like brass because I know when we connected with Katie, the founder, it really spoke to me when she was talking about feeling like she didn't know what to wear to work. You know, when I worked in the corporate world for 8 or so years, and I always remember that. It was like I would have my weekend clothes, and then I would have these clothes that I never felt good in. I never felt like I wanted to wear. And I just really wanted something basic for every day that I needed to be at the office or meetings or stuff like that. So brass is like the perfect, comfortable, super cute, little dressed up. You can dress it down. It's quality and you could wear it all the time. So love brass, love Katie, love the team, and just really excited to partner with them and for us to get some cute clothes.
Totally. And a lot of our listeners are starting new jobs, and we get those questions a lot. We're like, where should we buy clothes for these new jobs? Yeah, it's like something that's like functional and cute and streamlined. You could just walk into your closet and be like, okay, done, and that be the least like stress in your day. So we're really excited for our listeners. You can go to brassclothing.com, BRASS clothing.com, and you can use our code almost30 for 15% off your order. I think you girls are going to love this. So brassclothing.com, use our code almost30 for 15% off, and show us what you got. Tag us. We want to see it. This episode is also brought to you by Woo for Play.
The best.
It's the best. The game. It's so delicious.
Justin keeps saying, he's like, stop eating it. I literally like chill, and I'm like, he'll be like, all right, I'm gonna take a shower. This is really too TMI. And then I just chill and eat some Woo for Play. No joke. I will lay in the bed and eat it.
It's on some toast.
It's literally so bomb. I was like, they should make Woo for Play snacks.
Okay.
I mean, it's so delish.
Hey, come find a snack in my pee.
Yeah, it's all natural too.
It's 100% natural and organic lube. It doesn't mess with your pH. A lot of times in the past when I've used lube, it fucks up my pH. Yeah. And I haven't gotten a yeast infection, but I've like just experienced just like this feeling of like, something's different. Yeah. And there's no harmful chemicals. The ingredients, for example, they have coconut oil, vanilla essence. That's why it tastes and smells delicious. It has beeswax, which relieves stress and helps with relaxation. It also hydrates the skin. There's stevia in there, so it's a little sweet. And stevia is also kind of like an antibacterial, fights germs. So the ingredients are bomb.
So if you're getting it on, you want to use some lube. Lube is like completely normal. It makes sex so much better. And it just spices it up in all the right way. It's delicious. And we're really happy to be working with lube and to be sponsored by lube. And I know that in the secret Facebook group, everyone fucking loves it.
Yeah. So you can go to wooforplay.com, wooforplay.com, and you can use our code almost30 for 10% off. So try it out. Join the group. We're always talking about anything and everything, and this is one of those things. So let us know if you love it. Wooforplay.com. Use our code almost30.
That red lip.
I know, you look so good.
Thank you. This is part of my lipstick line. I still have some colors that I haven't released yet, so I like
no way
reactions.
Wait, tell us more.
It's the website is compassbyevita.com.
Okay. Yep.
And I have a bunch of colors on there, and so all the colors are named after different places around the world. And 10% of all the proceeds go to a nonprofit at the end of the quarter to benefit those nonprofits that we pretty much like found and doubled up in representing through the different lipstick colors.
Of course,
It's got a travel component to it, but it's really like about the beauty stuff because I really like matte lipstick, like long wear lipstick.
Yeah.
Yes. How did you like find a person to help you do that? to like make the lipstick?
I put it on Facebook, actually. Like, I go to my community for almost everything. And so I decided that I wanted to create a separate business, something that was more in tune with just me instead of like all the nomadness and travel, something that has a travel component to it, but was more personalized. And I launched it on my 33rd birthday. And so it's kind of like this side project that I have too.
You're like so adding the side project to my side 100 side projects. It's funny because like people would be like, or I think I can relate and I understand. So people like see me as something, but then I'm like, oh, but I also like beauty and I also want to start, for you, it's like, I also like beauty and I also want to do a beauty company that also relates. So it's like so cool to like, I always love when I see women doing like multidimensional things. It's like, yeah, I can be like a travel businesswoman, speaker, all of these things, but like also I want to be interested in beauty and giving back.
Right,
it's like, that is like what it's about, is like finding what you're interested in and like doing more of that and not being like stuck to like doing one certain thing.
Right. No, I agree.
Love it.
Love it. Well, we just jump right in. We do kind of a formal intro before, but we're so grateful that you can come on the podcast. Our community has been big fans of yours and NOMADNESS for a while. So we were just really, really excited to have you on and have this chat. So for those of our listeners who don't know who you are, do you mind introducing yourself and what you've created?
No, of course. I am Evita Robinson. And yes, that's my real middle name. People think it's like BS when they hear it, but
I love it.
I'm the creator and CEO of NOMADNESS Travel Tribe, which is a 21,000 member, we're like just under 21,000 members around the world, international travel group that focuses primarily on travelers of color. We have all ethnicities represented in the tribe, but we really attract who we attract. And I think the fact that it started at a time where there was no community and still there's lack of representation for Black travelers in the whole industry. We kind of came on board and created our own home, created our own businesses, created our own family. And so that's what I've been kind of the vessel navigating for the last going on 7 years. It'll be 7 years in September.
That's incredible. So I would love to, and to that point, I would love to kind of like paint the picture for our listeners. So like, when we say that Black African Americans, Black people are underrepresented in the travel industry, can we talk a little bit about that and like kind of explain like what exactly that means and maybe some statistics so that we can really paint the picture so that people are understanding what you mean and understand why this is so important?
Yeah. So I'm a primary like keynote speaker now, right? Like this blew up after last year. It was a mix of being the last day breakfast keynote at Destinations International, which is kind of like this association that represents 1,500 boards of tourism, particularly in the US, and literally having them all in one theater to just like eat out of my hands and like take the information that I was giving was a game changer. And then like literally a couple months later, my TED Talk dropped and that just only like kind of helped the momentum. So that one keynote was so integral, but I bring it up because the slide that everybody walked out to, that I walked out to, that everybody saw, what said $50 billion. That's all it said. And when I got on stage, I said, on the annual average expenditure of African-American travelers, it's $50 billion on travel a year. I'm like, and that's not even like talking about like all the international travel that has bumped up over the last couple of years. And that statistic was in like 2016. So we're talking about this movement that has now cultivated international community, brands all over the place, coming on board. And you would not realize that we spend that much money in the travel industry because you don't see us in any of the marketing. So it's like, I ask these rooms that are primarily filled with white people, that run these boards of tourism, do you want a piece of this pie? And of course, people say yes. And I'm just like, well, that's really interesting because your marketing doesn't indicate that you do. And that's how I start my presentation. And I kind of break it down from there, with our expenditures and our habits. But that number alone just speaks so much. I remember even when I saw it, I'm in the middle of this and I was like, damn, like, like our purchasing power and millennials in general, like this generation is very much wrapped around less materialism and more experience-based, spending. And travel is like the mecca of that for a lot of us. And I think it's only going to trend upwards because what's happening is as millennials have children and start raising children, our children are really going to be the first generation of Black travelers who are like, ooh, like I've been doing this since I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like because we're the ones that have like really built the community, the traction, the breaking the stereotypes that this stuff isn't attainable or you have to be rich in order to go travel and see the world. Like we're just like knocking all of these things out the park and creating spaces in which we're able to do this all the time. So that's a big part of it. Another example is Kelly Edwards, good friend of mine, been in NOMADNESS for years. Kelly just got her show for Travel Channel greenlit, Mysterious Island. She actually just got done shooting, I think like within the last like 48 hours for the first season.
Oh, that's so exciting.
And that show's coming out, but Travel Channel's been around for 30 years. And in 30 years of programming, this is the first Black travel host that they've ever had that's going to be spearhead of all of their stuff, the first. And it's like the first female Black travel host. And it's like, it took 30 years to get to this point. And the girl's like, Kelly's like super exceptional. Like she's a pilot. So not only is she going to these islands, like she's flying the plane to these islands. You know what I'm saying? It's not just like your average stuff. It's like so above and beyond. And she's an adventure traveler doing like crazy shit, you know? And so it's those types of representation. Even when I started NOMADNESS 7 years ago, you know, I was a, Black girl in my 20s, like gallivanting, backpacking around the world. But I didn't see a community for me, but I knew that there had to be more people that looked like me that had travel as a priority, you know? But I needed to find them. There was no home. Like at that time, 2011 was like, the things that stood out to me the most around travel at that time were like Twitter chats, right? Where it was like, you would have like the hashtag and then everybody would come on like Twitter Tuesdays, Travel Tuesdays and, stuff like that. And people would try, I'm like, this isn't really a community for me. Like that was enough for people. And then it was just like, I say, and it's kind of a joke, but it's real. Like I tell people, I'm like, these Twitter chats are like top 10 places to eat pizza in Italy. And I'm just like, yo, like, actually, I'm good on that.
I'm good on that.
I have to know, like, you know what I'm saying? Like more pertinent and familial and intimate information. Like, why is my relationship going to shit now that I'm, moved abroad? Or, from the jump, NOMADNESS was made in a way where people felt comfortable being vulnerable. And that's why I protect it so much. Like sometimes we've gotten shit in the past from people who thought that like the fact that you have to have one passport stamp to get into the tribe was some like elitist thing. I'm like, first off, like that's definitely not elitist. That's first off. But the reason why that was set and still is because we want to make sure that the people who come into tribe understand that within these cyber walls, they are amongst peers and people who understand immediately the power of travel and how it can transform your lives. We're not in the business of trying to coerce people into that first trip and trying to tell them and preach to them what, like, yo, we've already been in here and we're doing this and we want people. And the cool thing is it only takes one trip. It really does only take one trip. And then you see why it's so important. And that's why the qualification is one passport stamp and not 5 or 10, which it easily could have been. So all of those things kind of play a part into the integrity of the community and why, answering that call at a time where we just like really, really needed it.
What has been your experience prior to NOMADNESS and maybe experiences of your friends, perhaps, people of color as you travel? Like whether it's hotels, Airbnb, like are there statistics around that like, we should know? Like I'm curious as to like, what your experience is, because I actually, Chris has traveled a lot. I'm just starting to travel. So I'm just kind of like trying to like paint the picture for our listeners, like what that experience has been.
I mean, every trip has its own DNA, right?
Yeah.
So it's really like destination and trip style oriented. So like India, right? We've gone to India is like one of our trips that sells out literally in like 30 seconds. Anytime we open it up, it's gone. And our trips tend to sell out fast. But like India sells out really fast because people, even avid travelers, are still a bit intimidated about going to India alone. It's just one of those places. And they know that we've done it and they know the depths of our relationships and my personal relationships because I went there as a backpacker before I even thought about NOMADNESS. So these relationships, like you're meeting friends that I made on my own, a decade ago who look out for us and happen to run like the transportation hub in Jaipur. But when we go there every year, year after year, we are the only group of Black people that are in Jaipur, India. And they love it. They love it. They're just like, every year they want us to come back. We couldn't go this past year, and it really like punched them in the gut. And I get it, but things happen. The world is big and vast, you know, there's a bunch of places to go, but we go there and it's like, they just love seeing people come in that look like them. They really do. And that's something that we find in various places that we go around the world. Not only do we look like them, but Nomadness, like, we have a different vibe, right? Like, we're all about authenticity to a place where we are. It's not, we don't really, I mean, they're comparable, but we're not like the super luxurious, we're going to stay at a resort the whole time and not really interact with the locals and stay in our safe space. Now, sometimes on trips, we do some sketchy shit. So like, so you've got to be the type of personality that's like open to that and to those stories. So like when we do Holi Festival of Colors in India, again, there could be like a group of 30 Black people on the back of like tut-tuts and people's like motorbikes, like ripping it through the streets and highways of Jaipur. And then instead of going to like the enclosed, like Board of Tourism Holi Festival, we're in the middle of like the hood and like the streets of Jaipur in somebody's backyard with a DJ that like set up like wires so that they could play hip hop music and Indian beats while we're there. And we're having like lunch with a family. It's like, that's the difference. And I think not just the fact that we look like them, but the fact that we like honor them and where they are, they just respect us so much more. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, I think back to even Samoa, when we did our off the beaten path trip, we went to Apia, but we stayed in Tafua at the Tafua Beach Follies. We stayed on the beach at the 2009 tsunami hit. And the stories that we had from these people, we have a web series that I executive produce along with Issa Rae on Issa's YouTube channel. And the first episode is Samoa. And that episode almost happened by accident. I had stopped taking my camera with me on trips for a while and decided on this particular trip, because it was so damn far, that I was going to bring like my camera and video. But like the stories that we got of like our driver losing both of his children in the wave, and like, you know, the way that the community has come together and all the loss, but all the resilience that you see there, like, we honor them and their stories where they are. We're not trying to, you know, shove an Americanized experience down their throat while we're in their country. That's always never made sense to me. And I find it quite disrespectful. And so we really don't run into too much shit. Like we had two instances, one in Madrid and one in Bali. And Bali really throws me off because I've been to Bali so many times. It's like everybody's so nice there, but it just so happened like the business manager on the lodging that we were staying in, just like they just did not want us. Like after we showed up, they just did not want us there. And it was really evident by the way that they were treating us. And in Madrid, I wasn't with them, but there was like my group had kind of like broken off into like maybe 6 or 7 people that were going out to go eat. And it was clear that the restaurant was open. There were still people in there, but they were denied entry. And so there was this like racial tension that kind of happened, which unfortunately Madrid is kind of known for. They're known for like the racial stuff, but they're also known for like Spain is big on like classism. And I think it was like a little bit a hybrid of both through assumption. And so there were 2 particular instances, but outside of those 2, I'm going to be honest with you, like the world has really shown Nomadness love. We're really lucky. We're really, really lucky.
Yeah, I think it's in the United States that we've like built this fear of going outside. You know what I mean? It's like all about, it's like the terrorist shit. You know what I mean? Which started, with Bush, it's like terrorists, other countries, different people kind of like building that fear into Americans about travel, about other people, about other races, about other cultures. And there is such a vulnerability that you get when you do travel and you are talking to that person that experienced the tsunami, and that you're learning and you're just immersed in like their fucking world. And like, there's no better learning than actually like feeling and hearing someone and having them felt heard. You know what I mean? It's like the most powerful thing. So I want to talk to you. So you were traveling a lot. You were living in different countries before you started this. How did it come about? Because I kind of want to talk about, and what I'm kind of going to get to, which I think you will get to, is that what you were doing, what I perceived that you were doing is that you were following your passion, your drive, and you were doing what you were meant to be doing. And then this amazing thing came to you that you worked for, of course, as a side hustle that you built into this business. And I think a lot of people get stuck doing things that they don't want to do, and they never find that thing that they're meant to be doing. So I'd kind of like to talk about that part of your journey.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a specific question wrapped around it? Because it's hefty.
No, go girl. We got it.
Where should we start?
start about like the beginning of NOMADNESS.
It's interesting because so my background is in television and video production. That's what I went to school for. And you still see elements of that. Like we're pitching a TV show, all of that stuff. You still see like trinkets of it around because I was one of those people that went to school for something that I actually did like. It wasn't, I've been kind of anti what's in my gut, like, not going after what's my passion in my gut since I was a child. I've always kind of been, I think, a firecracker in that way. And so that was nothing new for me. But I did not know that travel was going to be the vehicle to get me to these things. It really hit me by surprise. And the way that started was right after college. I went to Iona College and I graduated in 2006. That last semester, one of my best friends from high school was finishing up. She was in like the last semester of her study and work abroad program in Paris. And I had never been abroad in that sense. I had been to like Jamaica because my stepfather's family was there and things like that. But I was like, yo, I'm out. I had like no money, but I was like, I'm about to graduate. Like it's lit. Like we're going to go. I'm going to skip class for I went to Paris for like 4 days and thought I was shit. So so I went out there and I stayed with Brittany in her little flat, shared a bed, shared everything because there was like no space. And I was like, yo, the world is kind of big and this is interesting. And it was that last semester where it's like, what are you going to do with your life after you graduate? And I was the commencement speaker of my graduating class. And I had these 2 funny quotes that I said when we were speaking. Our graduation was at Madison Square Garden. And one of them was, I think it's interesting how everybody keeps asking us, like, what are you going to do when you enter the real world as if everything we've done thus far is fake? And like, and that was one. But the other thing that I said was, I've been in school since kindergarten and I feel like I deserve a break at this point, because I had friends that were like, we graduated on Saturday and on Monday, they're starting at like these Fortune 500 companies that they almost killed themselves to get into. And I'm just like, bruh, like, yo, we've literally been in school since kindergarten. Like, I'm not doing this. I'm not jumping right into work. Like, no, I'm not doing it. And I feel like the universe was also telling me like, there's parts of yourself that you don't know. You just don't know. And you haven't been in certain experiences and situations to you don't know what you don't know. And that 4 days with Brittany in Paris a couple months before graduation shaped what happened thereafter. Because I decided that with my television production credits, I wanted to do something in film. And so I went with the New York Film Academy. I signed up for one of their things. And instead of doing it in New York, which would have made sense, I was like, yo, I'm going to go back to Paris and do it in Paris. And Brittany was like, look, it's the last month and a half that I'm here for school and work. You can stay with me again for that time. I'm not going to charge you anything for it. Plus it'd be like dope to have the company because like my time here is winding down and like I'm kind of depressed about it. And so I was there and I went there and it was about 6 weeks that I was living in Paris and like going to classes every day at La Fami's film school and filming on the weekends. It was an intensive, like it was like 4 or 6 weeks of just like, it was crazy. We were shooting multiple films every weekend. You had to edit them during the week. Like it was no joke. And I remember the director of the program, the night of our screening in the theater, he pulled me to the side and was like, listen to me. He's like, I don't know what you're going to do with your life. And I don't know what you're thinking about. He's like, but that like it thing that nobody can explain, but some people have, he was like, you've got that. Mm-hmm. And whatever you want to do, he's like, I support you. But in film and your creative eye, he's like, trust that you've got that. And I thought I was going to be going to get my master's at Goldsmiths in London afterwards. He had given me like a recommendation that got me a scholarship that would have cut my tuition in half. And I was like in the shower and I'm like, okay, essentially somebody's giving you a check for like $20,000. Would you put that towards going back to school or would you put it towards building a business if you had the opportunity? And almost immediately the answer was towards building like my own business and going forward. And that's when I decided not to go back to school. And I said no to that scholarship twice, 2 years in a row, because they held it for me for another year. And it was just a decision that I felt like I needed to make. And it's funny because what I would have been going to school for is what I ended up doing anyway. I just jumped into it. I didn't like get educated on it formally. I just went. And so like, you know, after doing Paris, it was like, okay, I was home. I couldn't shut up about Paris. I just graduated. I was getting like freelance gigs in New York. And then I was working at a TV production company, at a network, actually. It wasn't even the production company. And they had laid off one Friday, like half of our graphics department. And my boss, who was trying to get me to come on as staff. And so all the decisions that he had made, they froze. And so all of a sudden I went from like, okay, I'm going to funnel in from like freelancer into a staff position. So, oh, you need a new job too. And I was just like, this is bullshit. Like, this is crazy. So it was just like that corporate shit that I hated anyway. And so I ended up like getting a bunch of freelance gigs to just hold me over. But I also applied to teach abroad. I ran into a friend who had graduated a year after me who had just gotten back from Japan. And she was just like, look, you love to travel. You need to make money at some point. Like, you're not tied down in any like monumental way. So you may just want to like go travel abroad, but like teach English. So I applied to teach English in Japan and I got the job. And it was like crazy. It was like the first week, January 2009, I got the email saying that I needed to be in Tokyo for training by like the second week of March. So it was like this whirlwind of like packing up and subletting my apartment. Like I had a boyfriend at the time and was like, I don't know what's about to happen. I had my cat. I had like all this stuff. I was just like, yo, like world life's about to be crazy. And I ended up teaching English in Niigata, Japan and bartending on the weekends for a year. And that was where I started the idea of a web series wrapped around Nomadness. I didn't have the idea for the community just yet. And I taught and lived in Niigata for a year, came back to the Bronx for a couple months. And unfortunately, during the time that I was looking for work, I had my best friend from college and also my ex-boyfriend died unexpectedly in a motorcycle accident. And I feel like Rudy's death was the ultimate of all permission slips for me to just go off. Like I've always been a risk taker.
I just got chills.
Yeah, but his death was like, because this man was like, for example, and I talk about this sometimes in my keynotes, when I was my brokest, when I first moved to the city, I'm talking about dead broke, Rudy, and I still have them. He handed me 3 blank checks and was like, look, if it ever gets this crazy, just give me like 48 hours notice on how much money you're taking out of my account and just let me know, but you keep these checks in case you need them. Like that's how ride or die this dude was. And so to have that type of like backbone stripped from you randomly and tragically was just like, like this life here is one way and it's super fragile if you're not careful with it. And like, you have no time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've always lived with a sense of urgency. It's the Aries in me. I'm naturally impatient, but like, that was just like it. Like literally looking, not to be morbid, but looking at his body, I was like, yo, like it's a wrap. Like y'all thought I was crazy before. Like I'm done. And so that was huge. And about a month after Rudy passed, I was cast on a travel web series called Jet Set Zero. And I was the only chick, like even from production all the way to the front, forward facing, like 4 people, 3 guys, me, and they just videotape your life. And it's crazy looking back at the footage now because I was grieving in real time with cameras in my face. You know, and also like living in Thailand, a new place that I'd ever been. And I was also living with a sociopath at the time that I didn't get along with at all from like the gate. And so there was a lot of these like emotions and transitions and things happening. And so when I was backpacking Thailand, I had to do a visa run. I went to Cambodia and I went by myself, wanted to see Angkor Wat, had to see Angkor Wat. I have a thing with like world wonders. And I got stung by a mosquito on the way back and got like really sick on the way back and was just like, yo, I was like by myself trying to make my way back to Chiang Mai. And we were like in and out of hospitals when I got back trying to figure out what was going on. Ultimately, we found out in the second hospital that I had caught dengue fever. And so I was in Thailand and I was supposed to be shooting with them for 3 months. I made it through 2 months and then I went home. And when I went home, that was the first time that I had ever heard from my family, hey, you may want to like settle down. Like all the shit that everybody else had been hearing for years at this point all of a sudden, like, and I think me getting sick freaked them out. Like my family all of a sudden was just like, it's like a light switch went off. And I was like, wait, like, you guys have never spoken to me like this before. Like I'm 25, I get it, but like what's going on? And that was what sparked me into creating NOMADNESS. I needed a community because I'm not following the path of anybody in my family, no friends. Like I am the black sheep, the outlier. Half of my family still thinks I run a cult. Like they don't even understand what the hell NOMADNESS is. Like they don't know what it is, you know? And so it's like, you know, it's one of those things. It's so far-fetched from anything that many times they could even perceive for themselves. So it's hard for them to identify it in me. And so I needed that community. You know, I'm human too. I needed a support system. I was freaking the fuck out. That's what really made me start NOMADNESS. And then coming back to New York after living in Asia for the better part of almost a year and a half at that point, I was going through reverse culture shock, which was bananas. Like that was the first time I didn't even know that was a thing. You know, coming home and all of a sudden home feels like a foreign country. Like this was weird, especially the intensity of a place like New York. Like I was like, yo, this is wild. And like y'all are fucking up my chi. Like what, like, you know, like what's going on? So I was dealing with all of that stuff, and really building NOMADNESS in the beginning was answering a call that I needed as a traveler. And I think that that's one of the cool things about NOMADNESS is that I trust myself more. I trust myself with the decisions that we make, with the risks that we take, because I am one of my members just as much as I am the leader and the creator of it. And I think that that's important. It's really important.
We interrupt this episode to bring you a word from our sponsor, Evita Warrior. This is the underwear that celebrates a woman's body. It is so comfortable. I know you just got yours. Like the problem is that I'll admit, and I'm sure, please raise your hand if you're one of these people. I have 57 pairs of underwear. I wear 4 of them.
My underwear drawer is real ratchet. It's real bad.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like, well, first of all,
I just haven't upgraded. I've grown up and my underwear hasn't. And so that's why this underwear brand is perfect, because it's quality. It's for my adult body. It's for like only having a few pieces that are really nice and that I can wear all the time, that I feel really, really good in.
And it's made to naturally fit your curves. So a lot of underwear. So for most of our lives, we've worn underwear that satisfies other people. Like I was always thinking, like my early 20s me, always thinking of someone else when I was buying underwear. What is he gonna think?
I know.
Like,
thong hanging out 24/7.
You know? So this underwear does not pull in, so you're not getting underwear lines. It is seamless. It is beautiful. It is made with light wick moisture wicking fabric to keep you cool and dry all day long. This underwear is beautiful and so well made. And there's not a seam down the center crotch, which a lot of underwear has. So that creates that weird camel toe. The seams are on the side, and even the inseam is really, really small. So you're not actually feeling the seam. I'm obsessed with this brand. And I actually just got their VIP, the very important panty. It's the thong. And it works with literally every outfit. It feels like I have nothing on.
Yeah, I love that it's seamless.
Oh my God.
That's been the best part, is that it's
so
super
good.
Seamless. And it just feels like silk on my body. Like it feels like I'm wearing nothing, but also feels like it's hugging me at the same time.
Totally. So for our listeners,
whoop, whoop.
So for our listeners, you can visit uwillawarrior.com/almost30. That's UWILA warrior.com/almost30 and use the code almost30 for 10% off your first order. This episode is also brought to you by FabFitFun.
What's in the box? One of our homies, our fave homies, Natasha, works at FabFitFun, and she loves her fucking job.
Yeah, man.
How could you not love it?
To be able to deliver full size of like amazing products, make women happy quarterly. I'd say so. So the FabFitFun Fall Box is now on pre-sale. You guys have heard us talk about this before. We love FabFitFun. It's like a little treat quarterly. Boxes start shipping on August 20th. So you can reserve this highly anticipated fall box today. We have some spoilers for you.
There's like Reddit threads about spoilers.
I know.
That's hilarious. That is crazy.
That's when you know you've made it.
We need to make a Reddit thread about spoilers about our guests.
So if you didn't know, FabFitFun is a seasonal subscription box that delivers full-size fashion, beauty, home, fitness, and wellness products. And they're delivered 4 times a year for only $49.99 a box. I don't know if you understand. These are all full-size items. So your box could be valued definitely over $200. It's crazy. So for example, in the fall box, every box will include Glam Go Bubble Sheet Mask, Love a Mask, Beauty Blender in the Pro Original Chill Pop Bubble Glow Royal and Apricot or Nude. Those are the colors. I love a Beauty Blender.
Yeah, you use them.
Yeah, I do. I like it. And then all members can choose between the Vince Camuto Luck Tote in Black or Red Desert, which is valued at $128.
I love that you can choose the colors too.
Yeah. Like they just give you options so you don't feel like, I'm getting a box, don't know if I'm going to like everything. Or you can choose the Crown brush 6-piece brush set in silver or black. So if you're needing to kind of revamp your makeup brush set, now's the time. So yeah, we love FabFitFun. You know, you should treat yourself. I think it's really, really important.
Or treat a friend.
Absolutely. It's a great, great gift. So you can sign up for FabFitFun today to get your fall box. The FabFitFun fall box is a limited supply. So I would hop on this. They almost always sell out. So you can use our code almost30 to get $10 off your first box. You can go to fabfitfun.com. So FABFITFUN.com to sign up and start getting the box for a life well lived. Use our promo code almost30 and you get $10 so off.
$39.99 for $200 worth of stuff.
Come on.
Enjoy.
How did you begin to build your community? Like, what was that like? I think as a leader, like sometimes insecurities come up as you're building a business if you've never done it before, or you're kind of creating literally a new genre of travel. Like, what was that like for you? And how did you navigate that and kind of like step into your light?
Yeah, I'm an accidental entrepreneur all the way. Like I knew I was building a community. I didn't know I was creating a business at all, like really at all. And I didn't even know if I wanted to travel with these people. I remember, so we started with 100 people on Facebook. There was a quote that I heard that I say, and I wish I remember where I heard it because I would totally give them credit. But they said, if the internet was a geographical location, Facebook would be the capital. And it just made sense to me. And like, we're the Facebook generation. We're probably like the same age as Mark Zuckerberg. I remember Facebook, you couldn't get into it at first unless you had a college-oriented email address. Like, I'm just like, I like went there, went to MySpace for a couple of years, came back, and then Facebook was like completely different. Like, you know, and everybody was on it. So it was a lot of like that transition, but I knew I wanted to start on Facebook because it was easy. It was a way that people were keeping in contact with me on my travels anyway. And it was fast, and they had just started really putting like groups together. Now they're like putting hardcore attention towards facilitating groups because they see it. But at that point in time, people weren't really using groups to spearhead businesses. You know, like I didn't see a template at that time for how that could transition. Now I see it all over the place and people realize it because you have to have community. You could have the best product, all of that shit. It doesn't matter if you have nobody to sell it to and nobody that believes in it. It's like, be anointed. I'm very firm in that. Like, I feel like sometimes, like, I hate when people say like, you know, epic and like movement. How you just started last week and all of a sudden you got a movement. Like, be anointed as a movement. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't just own that on your own. Like, you let the people anoint you. Somebody else needs to call what you're doing a movement before you do. I just believe that. And so that's what was starting to happen. And it was growing fast by word of mouth. We really just had no community, particularly for our age demographic. Back then, American Airlines was like still doing Black Atlas. And I knew like Nelson George and some of the people that were with it, but it was like, they were catering to an older audience that wasn't tech savvy. And so it kind of like didn't work out, you know, and I think that was part of it where we were dealing with like the generation that like created tech, like, you know, so we were like embedded in it and like, you know, we're fast moving and conversational and all that stuff. So it started with 100 people and it was people that I met on travels, people that I just knew had at least one passport stamp. That was really it. Starting from the beginning, people I know I could actually talk to about travel because I really needed it as like a sense of, you know, community, but also like therapy, you know? And so it was like a couple weeks into it, like 3 weeks into it, we decided that we were going to have our first meetup. And I didn't know these people. I didn't know who they were. And so we were like, okay, cool. So we did it at this hookah bar in LES. And I remember like 40 people showed up. And at some point, I just looked around the room and was like, yo, what is this? Like, and I was still freelancing in TV at the time. So I was like, what is this? And then I would go to work and be in Facebook paying more attention to the group than I was my work. So then I would have to stay at work later to get everything done and catch up. And it started to become like this cycle. And the show I was working on got canceled. There's always some like dramatic shit now that I think back. Like somebody's always getting fired, something's always ending. But it's like, that's literally, it was the universe just like, oh, we're going to kick you off of this cliff and then this cliff and then this cliff. And so the show got canceled, and it was randomly, it happened like the week before Christmas. It was really shitty timing. And I just remember being like, okay, well, we can like apply for, unemployment and see what happens for the first time. And focus on this 100%, or you can try to like throw yourself back into this wretched ass rat race of freelancing. And even freelancing started to get in the way because I don't really care for the structure of 9 to 5. I don't really like structure, period. I just got to be honest. Yeah. I like freedom, but you need structure. And so I didn't really care for the 9 to 5 structure. However, with freelancing, you can make a lot of money in a short period of time, but the hours were like, you're talking like 15-hour days sometimes. And like, you're not home, like, you know what I'm saying? For like another hour after that, like it was getting crazy. And so it was like, okay, you can jump right back into this, or you can at least give some breathing room. And I think I told myself I was going to give it like a couple months just to see and then make the decision. And I just ended up, that was the last time I ever worked for anybody else. And it was crazy because I was making no money. I remember when I got the letter back that they were going to give me like $250 a week for unemployment, I was like, this is bullshit. And I remember calling my friends. I was like, dude, I just need you to tell me that it's okay. And I still have the journal. I have like 32 journals. I have my life since 10th grade on paper. And I remember that exact journal, the day that I got that, I literally just wrote in big Sharpie marker, like, it will all work out. And that year, like that time of the year, every year, I kind of bump that post back up or open up that journal and just look at the level of faith and jumping that just had to happen. And the shit's been rocky. It's been crazy. It's been up and down, but it's been an amazing ride. And I wouldn't take it back for anything, but you have to you got to lock in knowing that it's a marathon. You got to just lock in.
100%. And it's nice, like travel trains you to work through the rocky times. You know what I mean? Like when you travel, you learn so much about riding the wave and being present and like seeing the beauty in every situation and stuff. But something I wanted to ask you about, with all of these situations and the death of your best friend and all these things, like what is your relationship to spirituality in this? Because it seems like there have been such beautiful, challenging moments for you, but yet you've always stayed true to like following the inspiration as it came.
Yeah. I don't know. Resiliency is a lot of that, right? Because I think about how, and I'm not good with death at all. And I've gone through tragedy, like even with tribe members. There was a really bad accident in 2015 where a van went over a cliff in Panama and 2 of my members died. One was in a coma for like 6 months and everybody else was in different levels of injury. And I was one of the people that they contacted at the scene. I wasn't there. This was like a meetup that they had organized on their own. And I remember just being like, wait, what is going on? And like one of the survivors just kind of like hitting me up from somebody else's phone and then like disappearing. I'm like, you guys can't keep doing this. Like, what the hell's going on? And as we started to get more information, my team kicked into high gear and we were on the phone like we had more information than the embassy did. And like within 4 days, we had crowdfunded within the community like $64,000 to pay for everybody's hospital bills. And people had donated like tens of thousands of flight miles to help get families in and people out. And within 24 hours of the accident, myself and 2 members of my team actually flew down to Panama. And it was the craziest like 3 days ever, in and out of hospitals, trying to find where people's bodies were, like greeting people's parents, of like the deceased, like at the hotel and like going with them to the hotel room and giving them like their children's luggage. In one case, the next of kin didn't have any passport. So like his ex-girlfriend had to come in. It's like I've been through the craziest shit with them. And I went to everybody's funeral. You know what I'm saying? Like I show up, I tell them as a leader, and if this is natural for me, as a leader, I show up when it's pretty and I show up when it's shitty. And that's just how I am as a person. Because it wasn't, even my family members were like, yo, like, are you sure you want to go down there? I'm like, I absolutely do not want to go down there. But there's no way in hell that I'm letting this situation unravel on my laptop while people that I know, in many cases, like people I am friends with and that hold my group and my business down, are like scattered around Panama City. Like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. You know, I'm not gonna sit at home and watch this shit happen. And so there's a level of going into the fire that for whatever reason is innate for me. It's just innate. And I can't explain because it's damn near psychotic. I have no idea where that comes from. But on the other end, the spirituality. So I'm not really big into organized religion. I've always been very spiritual, even as like a kid. You know, even now I have an altar in my house and there's everything from Buddhist beads to tarot cards to like, you'd be like, I don't know what the hell this woman does. There's crystals everywhere. I burn sage and Palo Santo in my house. It's like whatever works for me and helps to keep me centered is what I go for. Now, what I will say, for years and years and years, I claimed agnostic, which still in many respects makes sense for me. But living in Asia for almost a year and a half really opened me up and gravitated me towards a lot of Buddhist practices. And so if there were ever an organized religion that I would say I gravitate towards, and I have like a Gohanzen, because I went through the process of Nichiren Buddhism. And so I have one in my house. Buddhism is the one that's like caught me the most, but I still am just a spiritual being having like a physical experience here. Right. Like, and so I connect to it in that level. And if one day I need some more insight on what's coming and I have to pull out my tarot cards, then cool, that's what I do. If another day I need to sage the hell out of this apartment and then follow it up with some Palo Santo, that's what I do. If there's a day where I need to meditate and it helps me get more concentration if I do it with beads, then that's what I do. And that's kind of just like, I don't know, I'm just kind of like a pool.
What about Buddhism kind of like drew you in?
The fact that we're all connected, right? Like, and I mean nature, all of those things. There's a sense of peace that comes to it. There's a sense of you have all the answers within you. You just have to unravel them. The whole idea, and this is a tricky one, the whole idea that all suffering comes from attachment. I remember when I first moved to Thailand, to Chiang Mai, they have Buddhist talks where you can actually go to the temple and just talk to Buddha to talk to monks chats. And I remember asking them, I was like, look, I'm like all for this, but like the one thing that I don't understand fully or don't necessarily vibe with is this whole, like, the key to no suffering is detachment. I'm like, I don't know if I want to live a world and a life that's detached. Detachment to me means you're starving yourself of love. When somebody dies, like, how do you deal with it? And mind you, this was right after Rudy died. So I'm like really going through it and I'm throwing some like shit at this monk. Like,
coming in
like,
loaded.
Yeah. Like, I'm like, I need answers, bro. Like, and having that, but I think getting, I'm one of those people where, when I get into work, laser focus mode, you have this idea, like you have this end result that you're going for, but then you also have this like attached idea as to what the process is supposed to look like to get to that. And the whole thing is you can have a goal, but what we've got to let go of is our idea of what the entire process is supposed to look like to get there. Because there's a million ways that you can actually get to the same point. And sometimes the way that you have envisioned is not in your best interest. You think it is, or it's something that you saw for somebody else, but it doesn't mean that it's in your best interest, which means it may take more time. It may be a completely different route. It may be in a completely different industry, but you have to honor and let the process reveal itself to you in order to actually get there. And so TV is a big thing for me. I've been pitching TV blue in the face for years. if we would have gotten it at the time and in the way that I thought we were supposed to when I started Nomadness, it would have concaved. It would have concaved. As adamant as I was and as ready as I thought I wasn't as ready as I am now. And I can honor that. But a lot of times, like Steve Jobs has said, like you can only connect the dots looking back. You can't connect them looking forward. You got to just trust that it's working out the way it's supposed to. But when you look back, I connect the dots and I'm like, you're right. All right.
Always.
Yeah.
That's the thing too. It's like with the non-attachment, I used to be so obsessed with like making my lists and, like doing the visualization of my future and what I wanted and being like, this is my 3-year, this is my 5-year, this is my 10-year, this is what's going to happen, which, there is something to that, putting energy behind a visualization and something like that. But now I just kind of like let it come, like I just I'm not putting anything out there because I know what's coming for me will be the best thing for me if I continue to stay in a high vibration and I continue to do good.
Right.
You can't like predict your future in that way. Another one of the Buddhist things that I love is the happiness without cause. So the two kinds of happiness with cause, which is based on someone loving you, buying something, eating something, something like that. But then happiness without cause is that continued happiness regardless of the situation, people, place, or thing around you. But that, you said that so beautifully. That was incredible. What has been one of the travel experiences that you've had that really, we've talked about some, but that really like shook you and was like changed who you are as a person? Maybe it's a place or maybe it was like a dinner or a conversation. But I'd love to like hear about one of those magical situations. I know that's actually a hard question to think about.
It's a hard question, but also like, I think I brought up some of them to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, the Panama one.
Panama definitely changed. It changed everything. It changed me. It changed my team. It changed the group. And it was weird because it happened at the same time that an article about us was going viral on the Daily Beast. And shouts out to Charlize, who wrote the article, but also her managing editor, because they actually allowed us to post our PayPal link on the article as it was going viral once they got word about the accident.
Wow.
And so it's like the community really came together in that moment. And so that would change and shake anybody. Like, I literally was like on the phone when my therapist hadn't heard from me in like 3 years at that point. I've been in some form of therapy since I was in like middle school. And so like my therapist hadn't heard from me in like 3 years because I started going to a homeopath. But like I called her while I was at the hospital after they rolled one of my members in front of me with like no pulse on an EKG, rushing them upstairs. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, yo, this isn't even, people go through death and you go through like bad things. This was like so far beyond that I was like, yo, this is not normal. Like human beings shouldn't have to endure the stress that comes along with this shit right here. And the other thing is I'm one of those personalities where the crazier the situation, the eerily calm I get. It's weird. It's almost like I grow in size. It's weird. It's like what I do when everybody else is freaking out. I'm just kind of like, all right. And I'm taking in everything. Literally, my senses heighten. Yeah. It's literally as if I feel like energetically, like my body grow and I am able to like take on a bigger capacity than normal. And it's like, literally things become laser focused. So I'm like, okay, this needs to be done here. This needs to be done here. And I'm action and problem solve oriented. I'm always my best when I'm in action and when I have a plan. I'm in these spaces, I'm doing these things, but I'm one of those people where the emotional, psychological, all that impact hits me later. It's like my body does whatever it needs to do to rise to the occasion to make sure everything is taken care of in real time. And then like a week later, when I'm like alone or something, I have a complete breakdown. And it's like, okay, like everything that everybody else was going through in real time, I kind of hold off until I know the situation's under control. And then I'm like in a corner by myself, like crying in the dark, you know?
Right.
And so knowing that about myself, I put things in place to make sure I don't lose it, because I used to suffer from severe panic attacks and anxiety in college, and for about 4 years afterwards. And so I knew I had gotten it under control, but the sheer level of what we were dealing with in Panama, I was like, no, this has the capacity to unravel all those years of work that I did with the anxiety, because this is some next level shit. Like, I don't even know how you start with this. And so I remember calling my therapist at the hospital and doing sessions with her over the phone while I was still in Panama, and then getting right back into it. Like we had never left when I got back to New York. I was like, I'm not doing this. And I've been back with her ever since. So it's like, you have to know yourself. You have to know your limits. You brought up plans. I'm a big, the wall in front of me in my home office is like nothing but whiteboards. I'm a visualist and I need a lot of different colors and things like that. And I don't believe in anything past 2-year plans. And the reason why I don't, for me, is because it becomes elusive after a while. Like 5 years, 10 years, I'm just like, okay. And I'm not saying don't have especially when it comes to like exit strategies and stuff like that, that's different. But like when it comes to just like life in general, like I like having plans that are far out enough where it gives me something to achieve, but aren't so far that it becomes elusive. Like I can do something today that can affect something 15 to 18 months from now. I like to have that time frame be something that is still connected, because it makes me feel like I'm actually building towards something that's tangible, you know? So I don't, the 5-year, 10, I stopped doing those a long time ago, to be quite honest with you. I can't, even one of my whiteboards is a quarterly calendar. It's 4 months in one shot. So I can like see everything in brackets of months like that, because I don't like going too far out into the future. I also know myself, I'll obsess about it, and get anxiety about it. And you know what I'm saying? So like, I like to kind of keep it in a comfortable time zone for me, where I feel like if I do an action today, it has the ability to have a ripple effect during that same time span.
Yeah, absolutely. We interrupt this episode to bring you a word from our sponsor, Moellons, our go-to conscious CBD brand.
Everyone asks us, they're like, are you taking CBD? What are your thoughts? And I actually didn't think it worked until I started to take Moellons. So I've been using it just at night when I kind of need to relax. I've had a long day. My mind is going and I don't want to be anymore. And it's really helped me to unwind and just kind of chill out.
I am obsessed with the Lit from Within right now.
Yeah.
So not only does it have CBD and very low levels of THC, so it's like less than 0.3%, but it also has coconut oil, avocado oil, pumpkin seed oil, and hemp extract. So I am putting this, in my teas. I can even just put it underneath my tongue, but I like to put it in things, beverages, spreads, whatever you want. It restores emotional balance, limits side effects of any stress I'm feeling. It just kind of brings me back to like feeling like my best self. And I love this brand. Amy Duncan, the founder, truly cares about what we put in our bodies, and her passion for CBD as something that can heal from the inside out is really palpable, even when you meet her. She's the best. So Moellons.com, and you can use our code almost30 for 10% off your first order. So that's MOWELLENS.com, and use the code almost30 for 10% off.
Enjoy.
This episode is also brought to you by Chosen Foods. Chosen Foods is a San Diego-based health food company. Shout out Southern California, best known for starting the avocado oil craze, which we subscribe to oh so well. They offer a variety of healthy fats and clean label products like avocado oil mayo and avocado oil-based salad dressings and sprays. Listen, this brings me into the kitchen every time. I am happy to cook because I have these products on hand. So I'm going to tell you what I'm loving right now, because you guys always ask us, so I figured I'd tell you. My top 3 Chosen Foods products right now. The avocado oil mayo in black garlic. That's right. You heard me. Black garlic mayo. So I'll cook a sweet potato and I'll put a little bit of mayo on it. I will steam some artichokes and I will dip the little leaves in the mayo. Delicious. I also am loving the lemon garlic dressing. So it's a dressing and marinade. You could use it as either. It has 0 sugar. It's canola and soy free and vegan. I mean, what else do I have to say? There's no preservatives at all. It's pure avocado oil and all natural ingredients. And it's tangy, it's flavorful, it's delicious. And last but not least, my favorite, which I use all the time when cooking, the Chosen Blend Oil Spray. It has safflower, avocado, and coconut oils. And you can cook with this at high heat. 490 degrees is the smoke point, which is great. I don't know if you know, but olive oil smoke points are much lower, I think around like 350. If you cook it over that, which a lot of us do, you are going to risk the oil will give off toxins. Not good. So I love these 3. You can try Chosen Foods for 50% off, 50% off your order of $10 or more when you visit chosenfoods.com/almost30 and use the promo code almost30 during checkout. So for 50% off your first order of $10 or more, you can go to chosenfoods.com/almost30 and use the promo code almost30 during checkout. So worth it. Run to the site. Swear to God, do it. Let us know what you love. I'd love to shift gears a little bit. I know that you've been partnering with some, incredible brands. What has been kind of the challenge in bringing that like authenticity and influence into the marketing? And have they been kind of like open arms and like ready and willing, or like what has your experience been? I know Airbnb has been one of them, which is incredible. I know they don't do partnerships very often, and I love to see that like that is happening, because I'm also curious about the Airbnb experience for people of color.
It's funny, we've been in partnership with Airbnb before the whole Airbnb while Black thing came up. Some people think that like it popped up when all that. No, like actually they were like a small scale, but they were one of the sponsors of like our first conference and things like that. We had been in contact with them for a while, but I think it made their necessity more urgent. And so it was like, ooh, this is interesting, because I was knocking on Airbnb's door for a couple of years, just the way that I am. I don't wait for people to necessarily find me. Like I kind of go hunt them down where they are. So that was one thing. But as far as authenticity, I have no problem saying no. So if you don't have a brand that already is being utilized by tribe members, by myself, something that organically fits with what we do, then we don't have to do it, and I'm fine with that. And sometimes people don't like no. And I firmly believe also that like all money ain't good money. And so like, you've got to be careful with that. And that's not just with investors, but with like, even like sponsorships. I'm a bad liar. And I can't do things like authenticity is such a big part of just like who I am, and the brand and the business. I also have 21,000 people that will look at me and be like, bitch, seriously? like if I'm going against their grain, you know what I'm saying? And I respect that, so I know that when I walk into a room, it's not just me. Like I represent this entire community and I know what their needs are, but I also know what their voice is. And so even when I do keynotes, the people that book me, they know that it's me up on that stage. It's funny, it's lively, it's intellectual, it's all of these things. But at the same time, like there are literal screenshots of unedited answers to questions that this industry needs to hear. And I prep these people for it, but I don't edit it. I refuse to. That's not what you brought me here for. You guys already have enough of that. That's why you're in the situation that you are right now, And so it changed the game. I think that big keynote that I did for Destinations International, that really did change the game, because like I wasn't even on their radar before that. I wasn't even on their radar. Like diversity was like the buzzword, but like, I'm going to be honest with you, like a lot of these places, they didn't even know where to start. Now, once they see me, and because I've been booked on so many keynotes and I'm so much more visible in the industry now they're like, yo, we want in. What activations do you have that we could throw some money at, because we want a presence? And when they come, they usually come back. And so it's like, it's become a lot easier. And it's interesting because I don't know what I envisioned. Again, knowing that you have an end goal, but not being attached to the road to get there. I would have thought it would have been like some magazine article or a TV show or some shit. Come to find out, it was my public speaking that actually got us to that end goal of having the attention of the industry and having them be like, okay, we want to partner with you guys. So it was a complete different path. I didn't see that coming.
What were some of those hard-hitting questions that...
So I asked the tribe, I asked them, I said, what are your top 3 issues with how you're marketed to as a traveler of color? And on the screen in my keynote, I have about 10 answers that I copy and pasted, and I hide everybody's identity, but they're real. Another question that I asked, and this was to my greater community, there was some nomadness overlap, but some of them weren't, was in corporate America, what are your 3 biggest issues with diversity and inclusion and how it's perpetuated? And it's because the truth of the matter is the two actually coincide. And a lot of the issues that you find, like for the corporate America question, one of the biggest things that comes out is like, you guys have like your hiring practices suck. You don't have anybody of color, of any color, in any like E-suite, C-suite, or more importantly, HR. Like having somebody of color in HR came up a lot. They were like, you also don't look to recruit talent from HBCUs, historically Black colleges and universities. And there's a plethora of talent from there. Because the thing is, if I'm a Black woman in HR, I am almost innately and naturally going to look for diversity to be in that company because I don't want to be the only Black person working here. Like, you know what I'm saying? And that's just what it comes to. And so when you don't have people of color in your marketing, teams and in your HR, you're like already behind the 8 ball in a lot of ways because you're either trying to outsource it to a company that may or may not know what they're doing, or you're trying to just like swap it out with Black faces. And then that's how you start getting yourself in trouble because you don't understand the culture. And when you're offending people, and that's when you get dragged on Black Twitter for the wrong reasons. So it's like, you've got to be careful, but you've got to be intentional. And it's more business DNA in the core of your company and board of tourism driven. It's not just like a one size fits all. And so, yeah, I give them really, really like open and honest answers that I've gotten from my community. Like they pull no punches.
I like that too. Cause it's like, you gotta just be clear and like explicit. It's like, we don't have time to like mess around with like not being really explicit about what the hell's going on. I just want to take a question from one of our listeners who really loves you. She said, I would love to know how her view on being a Black woman in America has changed since seeing Black women in other countries.
That's interesting. So I don't know why South Africa, which I love, just like popped up in my head. There's something so beautiful about being in a place that loves you because you're Black. And it's not like, it's not a check against you. It's not something that you have to maneuver around in your daily life. It's not something that you have to look out for. It's not something that, puts your safety at jeopardy. And so I think about the places that I've gone to where I've just seen us as a people free. Just free because we're everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And that is it's just another level of wanting to live and make sure that when I have children, like they are brought up to be free and 100% themselves. And that may or may not be in this country. Just keeping it real.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it's given me just a sense of strength, also a level of camaraderie that is now international with other Black women. It's so interesting because, and I just broke down on IG about this past weekend. I am not a girl's girl. I'm a guy's girl. I've just always been like tomboyish, sporty, stuff like that. So I've gravitated, and sometimes some of my relationships are just easier with men, And so, but I have always had some like, a couple strong female relationships. The thing is like 2 years ago, my most important female relationships at that time were all going to shit. Like I had lost one of my best friends. She was working with me, had left the business, which was like, okay, cool. That's fine. I didn't realize that like she was also checking out of the friendship. And so it was like really weird for me. My relationship with my mom at that time was really shaky. Even with my grandmother, it was a bit off. So there was these like powerful female relationships that women would look to like be centered in that were completely off kilter. And it was like bothering me more than I realized it did. And I had like a breakdown on New Year's at my friend's house, like about this whole thing and how I miss women, and I had never said that before. I was like, I miss the women in my life. And I had also really come into that time knowing that I wanted to be a mother and wanted to start making life decisions that would accommodate that, you know, from where I was moving to like trying to save money, to getting my like teeth fixed, to just like getting my body together, like all of these things. And I wanted to talk to more women. And I just looked around and it was like, outside of like 2 really close girlfriends, 3 close girlfriends, it was kind of like, damn, like where the hell is everybody?
Mm-hmm.
And so what's so crazy on the back end is, I don't know if you're familiar with the co-working space. It's called The Wing. It's an all women's co-working space. So I'm a new member. Like I joined like maybe 3 months ago, but they just had their first camp called No Man's Land this past weekend. And I, on a whim, just signed up for it. Mind you, this is the first group trip I've ever been on that I haven't organized. So it gave me so many levels of perspective, and it's all women. Mind you, I didn't even know if I was going to join it. Like, first off, my least favorite color on the face of the planet is pink. I hate pink. I hate pink.
And girl, how do you work at the Wing every day?
Dude,
literally, like, what do you do? It's pink.
Like it's all, and it's like pastel pink. You know? I was like, shit. So like,
you're like, damn, they got free kombucha, but the pink.
I know, right? So it was like crazy. But one of the reasons why I decided to join them is because I'm like, yo, not only is this like dope women, like not just regular women, but like women who are on their shit, but I can grow with this space. They have it's the only co-working space on the planet that I'm aware of that has a breastfeeding and breast pumping room there. A beauty salon, like as a part of like the makeup, showers and all this other stuff. I'm like, yo, like people can bring kids. Literally, I was working out of there yesterday and one of my good friends, Devin, was like, hey, can I bring my daughter Bryce? Yet today was her first day of school. She's got some homework to do. And like she was in there with her daughter who's like 7, you know? What co-working spaces are allowing, you know, women to bring their kids in? And nobody's batting an eyelash. That is the type of place you can grow with as a woman. And I will forever be a member because of that shit. I'll deal with the pink. I'm good. You know? Yeah. but I broke down in just tears of joy this weekend when I was on IG Live recapping the camp, because I'm like, yo, I think back to 2 years ago and how super shitty and shoddy my female relationships were, and how all I wanted for the first time in my life was just to be around sisterhood, you know? And so now I feel like I have it times like 11. And then to go back to your listener's question, like to double down on that on an international scope. And then never mind you, NOMADNESS Travel Tribe is like 85% women. Wow. It's a big ass like collective of international like Black traveling women from around the world. And so I literally, and this is how I am, and people tell me, they're like, yo, you're like the master manifester. Like it's bugged out to just like watch you work. And I think I just put it out there. And again, not being attached to or knowing what the journey was going to be, but understanding that I had a destination that I needed to get to because I needed it to feed me in some sort of way. And now it's like, there's women everywhere. Yeah.
We relate to that so hard. Yeah. Because I think both of us had experiences with, you know, a community of women when we were younger, when we, you know, weren't kind of supported or taken care of because no one is emotionally mature like that. And now it's kind of this full circle moment where we have a community as well of women. And it's like, how did we breathe before this? Yeah. You know, it's like really interesting to kind of
I didn't know that women could be like cool and funny. You know, I was like, like had like a low standard of them, probably because I have a low standard of myself, you know, like didn't love or respect myself, but like, yeah, it's fucking special. Oh, sorry.
And maybe that's what it is, actually. I think you just tapped onto something, because I guess the way that we see women may, in a sense, be the way that we see ourselves. Yeah. And I think growing up, just owning that level of myself and not really understanding what my type of femininity was. And then having like the outside world be like, yo, you're masculine. It's like, you know what? Fuck you. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, there's levels to it. And what I loved about even just the women that I bunked with was that it wasn't this overly girly, prissy pink flowers and fluff shit. It was like, no, there were women just as hard that go even harder than me. And what I like about the Wing is that all types of femininity, even the ones that may be a little bit more masculine, we're all represented and we're all equal in the same space. And like, Nobody has shit to say about that. And I think that is what's powerful about what they've created.
Wow. Yep. And it is. It's like, yo, you like see it from the outside. You're like, oh, pink, salon, blah, blah. But it's like you peel back the layers and like the women there are real and they're doing real shit. And like, it's like, I mean, I'm happy that you're there. I'm happy you found it.
It's also like a balance. Like if you're in your masculine in business, like you need to kind of slip into your femininity and have those little things. Like, I want to get my hair done.
Yeah. All the time.
So true.
I freak them out because they think that I'm like aggressive in every part of my life. But then when they see me cry or break down or be vulnerable or be mushy or like do this weird baby voice shit that comes out of me every once in a while. Like, they're just like, who are you? Like, what is this? But they also love that. And that is a sacred space. And what I will say to couple that is, I will show you vulnerability when you show me that it is a safe space for me to show that to you.
100%.
If I don't show you my vulnerability, whether I'm saying it directly to you or not, it's because I don't trust you with it.
Yeah.
And so as a man, like you've got to show me that I can trust you with it. And then you'll have all of it. I'll fall all over you like fucking putty. And you'll be like, where did this come from?
Yes. I think we're learning that too as like interviewers. You know what I mean? Like having conversations with people. It's like, and listening to other people interview, like we have to set the space and like allow a place where people can be vulnerable. You know, it's like, it's our responsibility and it's our job to like put that out there so people feel good about sharing like what's real. You know what I mean? So I totally feel that.
What is next for you personally in like your other business ventures, and what's next for NOMADNESS?
So the easy question, because I'm in the throes of it right now for NOMADNESS. So we're doing the first festival for travelers of color in the country on September 8th in Oakland, California. So I'm literally, you guys are like the last like important non-festival thing that I'm doing.
Yes.
Literally as of today, my calendar locks down until like the end of September.
Thankful.
And so totally like locked into that. We have some amazing speakers coming out. We have almost 1,000 people registered for this thing. So like, it's going to be amazing. And I cannot wait. Really grateful to all the people that we have coming on board, the sponsors that we have on board as well. It's just going to be a really good time. And I love that we're doing something on the West Coast. Like I'm tired of our tribe members on the West Coast. Like everything's in New York or Atlanta or Philly or, you know, and they're right. And that's why we wanted to adhere to it. We just knew we wanted it on the West Coast and we didn't want it in LA because we felt like that was like the obvious choice.
Totally.
And Oakland's got this like grit to it that's very like reminiscent of like what NOMADNESS is and who we are. So that's what's coming next, as well as some app stuff. Like I said, we're pitching TV. So hopefully soon we'll have some like news on that as well. We're the farthest with that we've ever been. So I'm excited about that. And me personally, after Audacity Fest, I'm going on vacation.
Yes. Where are you going?
I think I'm going to go to Tulum. Yeah. I think I'm going to go to Mexico. I just need water. I need water and like nothing. So I think one of my girlfriends actually just hit me up this morning. I think we're just gonna go to Tulum, kill it for like 5-6 days. I'm leaving my computer at home, which is what I did at the camp this past weekend, and it made all the difference. So I'm leaving my computer at home. I don't want to talk to anybody. Like, you know, I have a couple days of debriefing after that. But, you know, we have some stuff coming up. I'm getting awarded by Afar magazine. I'm one of their 2018 vanguards this year. So I think that event is coming up in like October, November. I have to check my calendar. But personally, I'm just trying to like chill. I'm in this space right now. This article just dropped earlier this week that I was interviewed in on Bustle about women who are considering like single motherhood as like an option and all this stuff. Just dating, enjoying that space, and concentrating on the personal things that I have, because I do want to become a mom within the next couple years. And so I just, you know, I'm not putting myself on the pressure cooker with it, because I've made the decision that it's going to happen regardless. And I think ever since I made that decision and started putting action items towards it, that I feel better instead of feeling helpless, like I'm waiting for the one, you know, in order to even start thinking about it. Like, no, like there are certain things that are within our control before that. And so just kind of taking care of myself and my body and everything to just make sure that, you know, when my birthday comes around, like next year, I can start thinking about like how that's going to happen and what that's going to look like.
Yeah. And I think it's so important as an entrepreneur like you are, and just how like in it and how hard you're hustling all the time, that if you're going to be in it for the long game, to really find that balance and to like kind of go towards where your soul is calling you, having a child, like just taking care of your body, your soul. So I'm just like that's expanding for a lot of people who are entrepreneurs. So thank you.
Absolutely. And it's scary, you know, and I think we do feel like, and I don't like how women, when it comes to entrepreneurship and all these other parts of our lives, we plan so much. But then we get like, if we're single and we're of a certain age, we start fucking freaking out and panicking if we're single and we want children. And it's just like, well, why not still plan? You know, because there are things that you can do that you probably need to do before that person comes up. And guess what? If the person pops up beforehand, awesome. Now you have a even better foundation that you had already been working on your own to go into this partnership and, you know, parenthood with. So I'm just kind of like, I'm seeing where things are going to flow and take me, but also just like working towards it on my own so that when the decision comes, however it comes, you know, I'll be ready.
I love that.
Awesome.
Where can people connect with you?
So you guys can find NOMADNESS at nomadnesstv.com. Also, our social media across the board is at NOMADNESS Tribe. And my personal social media across the board is at Evie Robbie, EVIEROBBIE. And my personal website is just evitarobinson.com.
Yeah, your website is fire. It's
Thank
really good.
you.
Like inspired me. I was like, damn, she like puts shit really well. Like it's really fucking good. Well, we appreciate it so much. Like, this was so nice to talk about travel, to talk about your experience as a woman of color, to share this with our audience, to talk about entrepreneurship. I'm so excited that you're thinking about being a mom. You are like gonna kill it. And it's really inspirational to see like an entrepreneur like you doing so much, kind of like also doing that too, because that's like so important as a woman that we can do it all and we can figure it out. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm pumped for your festival. It's gonna be rad.
Yeah,
like, have so much fun.
Thank you.
Great. All right. Thanks so much, Evita. We'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you later. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye. Woo! Wow. How fun. I love talking about travel. I mean, we haven't really talked about that. So it was really fun to kind of dig into that. And yeah, she's just a badass.
Changing the world. Thank you, Evita. Woman. We love you.
Thanks, honey. Review of the week. Thank you guys so much for writing reviews on iTunes. We are just moving on up with those reviews. It means a lot. It really helps us get amazing people like Evita on, helps us stay high on the charts, helps us just bring more content to you. So really appreciate you guys writing a review. We read everyone. Appreciate it. This one this week is from Paige Gets Real. Great podcast, even for those over 40. I thoroughly enjoy the podcast and the guests they have on the show. They're so insightful and real. I wish I would have had this podcast when I was almost 30. 5 stars. Thanks so much, honey.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it is true. I have so many people in message. They're like, I'm not 30, I'm 20, I'm 40, I'm 50, I'm 60.
I met a mother-daughter the other day, and the mother was like such a fan. I was like, shit.
We have a lot of mother-daughter duos that come to our events.
It makes me happy.
Oh my God. Nothing makes me happier.
So you can catch us. We are in San Diego, the middle of this month, on the 13th at 4 Moon Spa. We have our Holy Hormones event on October 24th here in LA.
San Diego sold out.
Yeah, oops.
San Diego sold out, and Hormones probably has like 5 tickets left at this point. So get your tickets. And then we're going to be figuring out dates for next year.
Stay tuned. Thank you guys so much for listening. We love you. We love you. We'll see you soon.